The moving truck hadn't even finished easing into my driveway when 3 police cruisers screeched to a stop, boxing it in like the streets had just become a crime scene. No sirens, just the rhythmic flash of red and blue lights painting the suburban pavement. Through the side mirror, I saw an officer step out, hand gripping a megaphone. "Sir, step away from the vehicle and keep your hands visible." I set my coffee down and climbed out cautiously, raising my hands more in bewilderment than compliance. That's when I saw her. Cynthia Lockwood, president of the Pine Haven Estates HOA, perched on her immaculately kept lawn, a lavender pantsuit hugging her frame, her phone clutched like a weapon. Her lips moved rapidly, narrating the scene to whoever was unlucky enough to be listening. The lead officer approached, and I noticed a faint smirk tugging at the corners of his mouth. "Are you Lucas Cole?" "That's me," I said, my voice steady despite the absurdity. "The one with all the tiny home permits?" Cynthia's triumphant expression flickered to confusion in an instant. The officer extended his hand. "Officer Ryan Mitchell, we got a call about quote-unquote suspicious activity regarding an illegal structure, but your permits are all here on file." I was 35, Lucas Cole, a tech industry veteran who thought I'd seen enough corporate absurdity to last a lifetime. A decade of climbing the ladder had finally given me the chance to pursue my dream, a sustainable, minimalist lifestyle. Buy a small plot of land, install an eco-friendly tiny home, work remotely, and reduce my carbon footprint. The land I'd purchased was on Willowbrook Drive, technically inside Pine Haven Estates subdivision, but crucially not under HOA jurisdiction. A grandfather clause had exempted my lot due to a decades-old property dispute. That detail would prove vital very soon. Cynthia Lockwood had ruled the Pine Haven Estates HOA like a queen with an iron fist wrapped in velvet for 15 years. At 58, she wielded the neighborhood like a personal kingdom, issuing decrees about grass height, mailbox colors, even the precise angle for displaying the American flag. She once fined a family $200 because their garden gnome was, in her words, facing the wrong direction. I wasn't moving in with a party house or a commercial operation, just a professionally built, visually appealing tiny home that met every county code. To most people, it looked like a quaint little cottage. To Cynthia, it was apparently a declaration of war. The trouble began 2 weeks before my move-in. I was at the property laying the foundation when Cynthia appeared like a suburban specter, clipboard in hand, radiating disapproval. "Excuse me," she said, her voice sharp enough to cut concrete. "What exactly do you think you're doing?" I straightened, brushing concrete dust off my hands. "I'm Lucas Cole. I own this lot." Her eyes narrowed behind designer frames. "This is a traditional single-family neighborhood. We have standards." "Good thing I'm not part of your HOA," I replied cheerfully, returning to my work. The silence afterward was thick, suffocating. I looked up to find her furiously typing on her phone, presumably contacting her flying monkeys or scouring property records, or both. "This won't stand," she muttered before striding off in sensible heels. Over the next 2 weeks, Cynthia launched a campaign of pure suburban warfare. First came the letters delivered daily to my apartment, each more creatively threatening than the last. They ranged from vague warnings about maintaining neighborhood character to citations of HOA bylaws that didn't even apply to my property. Then she escalated to in-person harassment, appearing whenever I was at the lot, phone in hand, documenting everything while narrating to her audience. Day 4 of the illegal construction, she'd announce. "The perpetrator continues to show blatant disregard for our community standards." She even organized an emergency neighborhood meeting, complete with a slideshow titled, "Tiny Houses Equal Tiny Values." Manipulating images to make my future home look like a dilapidated shack. According to my future neighbor Mark, who attended out of curiosity, she suggested tiny homes attracted undesirable elements and could compromise the moral fabric of Pine Haven Estates. The Thursday before my move-in, she tried another tactic. I arrived to find the lot cordoned with orange cones and caution tape. topped with a large sign claiming, "Construction halt ordered by HOA." I called the county inspector, who confirmed no such order existed and sounded amused. "Is this Cynthia Lockwood again?" he asked with a sigh. "She's called us 17 times this month." I removed the cones only for Cynthia to appear moments later, seemingly materializing from thin air. "Those are official HOA markers," she shrieked. "You're tampering with official markers." "Cynthia," I said, as calmly as possible, "your HOA has no authority here. I've shown you the property maps, county approvals. What more do you want?" Her face flushed purple. "I want you to respect this community. We've worked for years to maintain a standard of living." Then she made the mistake of stepping onto my property, jabbing a finger at my chest. "You will not destroy everything we've built with your hippie shack." I took a step back. "Please leave. You're trespassing." She laughed. Actually laughed. "Trespassing. I'm protecting property values. I'm doing my civic duty. Leave. This is your only warning." She stormed off, but not before promising I would rue the day I crossed her. I didn't yet know how literally she meant it. Which brings us back to move-in day. Officer Ryan Mitchell explained the situation. Cynthia had called 911, claiming she'd witnessed armed individuals unloading suspicious cargo into an illegal structure, fearing for herself and neighborhood children. Armed individuals. Armed individuals. I asked, gesturing to my moving crew. To college students and Arthur, a 60-year-old retiree taking a smoke break. "That's what she claimed," Ryan Mitchell said, shaking his head. "She said you were establishing some kind of compound. Possible cult activity was mentioned." By now, 2 more officers had joined. One, Sam Cooper, lit up at the sight of me. "Lucas, man, I heard you were moving back. Is this your place?" He turned to Officer Ryan Mitchell. "This guy and I went to high school together. It's definitely not starting a cult." Cynthia had crept closer during the exchange, close enough to catch every word. Her expression cycled rapidly: disbelief, anger, then desperation. "Officers, you don't understand," she pleaded, her voice trembling. "This structure hasn't been approved by the HOA Architectural Committee. It's completely out of compliance with our CCNRs." Officer Ryan Mitchell's patience was thin. "Ma'am, we've been over this. Mr. Cole's property is not part of your HOA. He's followed all county regulations. Permits are in order. But the aesthetics," she wailed. "Property values are not a police matter," Ryan Mitchell said firmly. Cynthia's face drained of color. "False." "False emergency reports are serious," Sam interjected. "You reported armed individuals and suspicious cargo. I see moving boxes and furniture. You also mentioned potential cult activity. That's a serious allegation." Cynthia's mouth opened and closed like a gasping fish. I was being cautious. You can't be too careful these days. Ryan Mitchell pulled out his notebook. "Ma'am, I need to see some identification. Filing false reports with emergency services is a misdemeanor, punishable by up to $1,000 and 6 months in jail." "Jail." Cynthia's voice cracked. "You can't be serious. I'm on the HOA board. I'm a pillar of this community. Being on the HOA board doesn't give you the right to waste emergency resources." Ryan Mitchell replied evenly. 3 units responded to this call. That's 3 units that couldn't respond to actual emergencies. As she fumbled for her ID with trembling hands, I noticed curtains twitching along the street. Neighbors had gathered, some stepping onto their driveways for a better view. Mark, my soon-to-be neighbor, gave me a subtle thumbs up. "I demand to speak to your supervisor." Cynthia tried, attempting to regain authority. "That can be arranged," Ryan Mitchell said calmly. "Down at the station after we process you for filing a false report." "Process me?" She shrieked, a pitch so high it could wake dogs 3 blocks away. "Not arrested yet," Sam clarified. "But you'll need to come with us to the station, voluntarily, or we can make it official." Cynthia's eyes darted wildly, searching the crowd for support. Finding none, she turned back to me, venom in her gaze. "This isn't over." "Actually, ma'am," Ryan Mitchell said, "it kind of is. Mr. Cole, would you like to press charges for harassment?" I understand this isn't the first incident. Part of me wanted to say yes, to end it once and for all, but I had to live here. "Not at this time," I said. "I just want to move into my home in peace." Cynthia was led to a police car, her protests echoing across the suburban street. This is persecution. I was protecting our community. You'll all regret this when property values plummet. As the cars pulled away, the neighbors began dispersing. Mark walked over, extending a hand. "Welcome to the neighborhood, Lucas. Sorry about all that. She's been a terror for years." "Thanks," I said, shaking his hand. "Hopefully, things will calm down now." Mark laughed. "I wouldn't count on it, but at least it'll be interesting." The movers, who had watched the spectacle with a mixture of amusement and disbelief, resumed work. Within hours, my tiny home was fully installed on its foundation, looking nothing like the dilapidated shack Cynthia had described to anyone who would listen. That evening, as I sat on the front porch watching the sunset, my phone buzzed. A text from Sam. "Thought you'd want to know. Cynthia fined $800 for the false report. Tried to pay with HOA check." Treasurer was not pleased. I couldn't help but smile. Sometimes karma works quickly in the suburbs. The next morning brought more developments. I sipped coffee when Mark knocked on my door, barely containing his excitement. "Emergency HOA meeting tonight," he said. "Word is they're voting on Cynthia's position. Apparently, this was the last straw. She's been using HOA funds for personal vendettas, sending cease and desist letters to people not even in the HOA. Lawyer fees alone this year are astronomical." That evening, the clubhouse lit up with what looked like the entire neighborhood. I wasn't invited, no HOA membership, but Mark texted me updates. Complaints were being listed. One resident even brought up the infamous garden gnome incident of 2019. "Snap," Mark texted. Treasurer just presented the legal bills, $37,000 this year alone. The final update? She's out. Unanimous vote. She threw her gavel at the wall and stormed out. From my porch, I watched Cynthia's car peel out, tires squealing. Neighbors filed out, chatting and laughing. The tension of Pine Haven Estates lifted. The aftermath was swift. Within a week, Cynthia received formal notice of removal from the HOA board. Her special parking space at the clubhouse was revoked, pool key deactivated. The landscaping company she'd hired for her nephew replaced with a more affordable service. The real blow came when the HOA's lawyer sent her a demand letter to reimburse legal fees she'd incurred pursuing actions outside HOA jurisdiction. $37,000 due within 30 days. According to Mark, Cynthia stood in the cereal aisle for 5 minutes, staring at the paper muttering, "This can't be legal," before dropping her basket and storming out. A for sale sign appeared in her yard the next day, priced for a quick sale. I was watering my garden when she drove by one last time, boxers in her car. Our eyes met, but she hit the gas and was gone. Mark later told me she moved 3 towns over to a stricter HOA and even tried to run for their board. No votes. Legally, the $800 fine stood. The $37,000 HOA lawsuit settled out of court for $25,000, forcing her to liquidate most of her retirement. Her reputation in HOA circles was thoroughly destroyed, immortalized on a satirical Facebook page called Cynthia Lockwood's Greatest Hits. The new HOA board sent a letter thanking her for past service and permanently banning her from all HOA events. Her house sold at a loss 2 months later to a young couple who painted it bright yellow and installed a small free library on the lawn. When I ran into the new owners of the farmers market, they mentioned finding stacks of HOA violation notices in the attic, hundreds of them, meticulously organized, never sent, excessive dandelions, slightly tilted mailboxes. It was almost disturbing. Cynthia Lockwood, iron-fisted ruler of Pine Haven Estates, had fallen spectacularly. $800 fine, $25,000 settlement, and total loss of social standing. A fitting end to her reign of terror. Last I heard, she was working as a receptionist 2 hours away, barred from any HOA involvement. Sitting on my porch now, watching a peaceful, Cynthia-free Pine Haven Estates, I reflect on the bizarre journey. All I wanted was a quiet, sustainable home. Instead, I got a front-row seat to the collapse of a suburban dynasty. The new HOA board even sent me a fruit basket with a note. Thanks for your patience during our recent transition. While not officially part of our jurisdiction, we look forward to being good neighbors. Sometimes, justice arrives in small packages with an $800 fine, a $25,000 settlement, and a petty tyrant sent running for the hills.